We are beginning the Shar Teshuva, the gate of repentance, which should not be confused. Thank you, with Shar Teshuva, which is a separate, incredible sefer written by Rabbi Yonah. Okay, but this is of the many different gates we have in the sefer. This is the one that follows chniya, humility. So let's again, we read from the bottom, the Leiv Tov. Amar Mechaber. So I have it on page Kuf Chaf Aleph, but wherever your Shar HaTshuva begins, that's where we are. So Amar Mechaber, the Mechaber writes, the author writes as follows. Once we've explained, we went 10 chapters explaining the importance, the description, the incredibly integral aspect of humility in terms of our obligations in our life to have developed that character trait. And since this humility is a foundational principle of tshuva and how it begins, because it is an impossibility to even think about doing tshuva without being humble. I mean, just by definition, one has to recognize the sin, and recognize the sin humbles a person. And you can't recognize it until you have that humility. I guess you can't, really appreciate what you've done without that sense of humility. I therefore found it appropriate. Let me now. Which is certainly the perfectly appropriate time, if again in a theoretically the concept of we're learning it obviously to know the material and to imbibe what we can, but in the classic world of a Musar, when you go through a sefer, you typically are hoping to go through it slowly but surely and inculcating and incorporating the values and the messages and the teachings. Okay, now let me explain what tshuva is. HaPerish al tshuva hu. The explanation of tshuva is as follows: She'adam misaken es atzmo, that a person fixes themselves up, v'choyzel avodas habaris baruch, and returns to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu fully. U'mashem es mashe hichser mimeno, and the person fills in and completes that which was lacking from it originally, since the person has now distanced oneself from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and sinned. So now I want to fix up that gap in the relationship. So now I want to do tshuva to bring me back. Now, how did that sin happen? So he's going to go through a number of possibilities of how a Jew sins. Either it's because we didn't know his greatness and how to serve him, so we didn't have that sense of understanding of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was and what my responsibilities were to him in terms of how to do the right thing. Or maybe just we're human beings and our passions got the best of us and the Yetzer Hara overcame the Seichel. I knew I shouldn't do it, but I did it anyway. I lost control. Or maybe I am not aware of all of the obligations. I don't know all of the nuances in Shulchan Aruch. I never went through all of the things that I need to go through, and I find out, oh my gosh, I've been doing a lot of things wrong because of my ignorance, which really, it could be an excuse, but really is not a great excuse, because our job is to close the gaps of ignorance and to get the knowledge to make sure that we do serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu properly. Or maybe in other possibilities, I just got into the bad crowd, the wrong crowd, and I have bad friends. Shapitu, who basically misguided me and sort of seduced me, so to speak, into their crowd. And this person sinned as a result of the ashpa of my bad chevra, like the Mesilas Yesharim talks about, the chevra ra that is so powerful and so impactful. So I messed up. I got involved with the wrong group. And that's critical in terms of being able to stay straight. Like the great wise person Shlomo Melech said, B'ni imifatucha chatom al tovei. If the sins sort of, pitui is it means seduction. It means, sort of drawing you in, and the allure of the sin. Do not come close to me. Don't enter close into my area, because you have sort of allowed sin to blind you. Od, another pasuk in Mishlei, Shlomo Melech says, Yereis Hashem b'ni v'melech im shonim al tesarev. So fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, fear the king. With the different type of people, don't mix in. Don't connect yourself to people who are different, who basically change the Torah and distort mitzvos. You don't want to be with those people. So there is a lot that goes on in terms of the allures of situations that happen, and it leads to devastation. So those are the number of different reasons why people sin, and for whatever one of those reasons might be the case, there is a need for a Jew to want to come back and want to, rectify that mistake. And the distancing that a Jew does from service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu can be in one of two ways. Either one type of moving away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of not doing the right thing, is not doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded me to do, and it's hidden from me, so I just don't, I don't see it, I don't want to know about it. Osha who oses mashabar osalasos, or he did or she did what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said you can't do. So either I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or I did do what I was not supposed to do, which is essentially the breakdown of the positive commandments. You didn't do a positive commandment, or that you did transgress a negative commandment. Now, obviously one is worse than the other, but those are two different ways of, so if a person never fulfills kibbud av v'eim, that's not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not showing respect to your parents. That's an aver, and that's a terrible distancing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eating non-kosher food is obviously another way where I told you not to do this and you did it. So they're both obviously very bad. And in doing that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me not to do, what are you doing? I'm rebelling, right? You're wantonly and actively going against the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, don't do that, and you're rebelling. Because when you don't do something HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do, you can't really call that a rebellion. You just you're not following. But when you have a clear directive not to do something, and you're doing it anyway, so it's an action of wanton disregard for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wishes. So im his rachakusa meroz Hashem ha'isarag zos shuloos es mashabar tzivalasos. Okay, if the distancing of a Jew only involved not doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them to do. So all, you have different people. I'll never transgress a negative commandment, but I don't do all the assays. I don't do all the positive commandments. So, I don't put on tefillin, maybe I don't daven, I don't, those positive things I don't do. I'm a very lazy person, but I would never transgress that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me not to do. Right? So you can be in that category. So if the distancing of this Jew from God was as a result of that person not fulfilling that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to fulfill, so the way to come back in tshuva is sheyishtadel lasos zos meyata. So I haven't been doing it, I'm going to start doing it. Okay, I'm going to start putting on tefillin every single day. I'm going to start, washing, my hands in the morning. I'm going to start saying birchas hamazon. V'yidbak b'ikra tshuva shavar lahanai, and the person clings to the essential qualities of tshuva that I'm about to explain later on in the parak v'yishal sharzeh in the fourth parak. So that's the essential rectification for not doing what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. Start doing it. Get involved, roll up your sleeves, start doing what you need to do, and you're pretty much there as long as you also fulfill those essential aspects of tshuva that he will talk about in the fourth parak. We'll just do one more and then we'll wrap it up here and pick it up next time. But if the distancing was in a fashion where you did do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told you not to do, which is more of a rebellion, Oz all of the sakin zos aidei shizor milasa shuv ma'isem ela or ma'isem daim. Well, the way to rectify that is to stop doing that which you're doing wrong. Desist from the action. This is what you call in the Rambam's vernacular aziva sachet. You leave the sin either by doing that which you didn't do, or by not doing that which you did do in the past. Okay, us all of the sakin zos aidei shizor milas shuv ma'isem elo ma'isem daim. You have to rectify by being careful to not do things or anything similar to those things in the future. And now the next step is to start doing things the exact opposite of these negative things. And in addition to maybe be super extra careful, maybe right? What's the hefech? I guess let's say God forbid a person was not keeping Shabbos. So what would be the opposite of not keeping Shabbos? Being super careful in keeping Shabbos and doing things to honor the Shabbos, or maybe if a person was eating non-kosher, to be super careful and making sure everything that the person eats would be super, of the highest level. The nosov v'kach, and of course, in addition to that, yidbak bikrei tshuva. Of course, just like in the earlier paragraph, you have to also adopt the essential qualities of tshuva. Which I will explain in this gate. It's interesting. So when it comes to the essays, he's going to explain that in the fourth chapter. Here, he's going to explain it coming up. But we have to stop here. Okay, we'll hold the place, Bez Hashem, and pick it up. When is that?
The 26th. Yeah. 26th.
20,
March 26th.
And right now we are...
3 weeks.
3 weeks, wow. So I have 2 weeks off, and then...
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Purim.
Right. I hear you. Very good. Shkoyach.